Welcome back to another weekly GMBN Tech show. Coming up on this week's show, we check out that new Sunrace cassette, which has got a massive 52-tooth sprocket on it. We have a look at that new Norco bike, which is an e-bike, but is pretty badass. We get all the usual regular great stuff from you guys, and there's also an amazing rewind entry from that crazy guy, Danger Hole. So first up, let's dive into news, and the first thing on the radar this week is Sunrace 12-speed transmission. Now this is no new news as such, and it's no secret either. It's been on their website for quite some time, just without the derailleurs. Now Sunrace of course have had that 12-speed cassette out for a while, and it's 1150, so quite a big range on there, but unlike the SRAM system, which of course uses the XD driver to mount and accordingly has that 10-tooth smaller sprocket, Sunrace has an 11-tooth and of course uses the conventional splined free hub body with a conventional lock ring, which means you can basically retrofit that to most other bikes. Of course, if you're planning on using that 50-tooth, you're going to need something like a wolf tooth to extend your rear derailleur. Or now you can use one of the Sunrace derailleurs. So on the screen now is one of the options. So there's a couple we've seen around, although they're not on the Sunrace websites. We just found these by scouring around online. So the first option is the MZ30. Now this is a cheaper option, although this one says it's only compatible up to 46 tooth, but it's still 12 speed. And they're pretty good value, to be honest. It's going for around £75 sterling, so that's about 82 euros. I can't find a US price on this. This is just rummaging at the moment. But they also list them as 10, 11 and 12 speed compatible. So obviously it's going to be useful for other situations. And then there's the MZ80, which has got a carbon lower cage on it. So it's quite a bit of a pricier option. And that's retailing for about 200 quid, probably about 210 euros there. Now it's got the 12 tooth and the 14 tooth pulley wheels on there. So it's definitely a bit more compatible with the bigger cassette styles on the market. And actually looks pretty cool. Now instead of a clutch, it's got a similar looking device called the stabilizer, which of course is clearly going to be a clutch. And it works quite well, and they've got a whole bunch of other stuff on their site. They've got a tinitride coated chain, they've got a regular silver chain, they've got 3 different compatible 12-speed shifters. One is an I-Spec 2, one is with no window, and one is with a little shifting window with the indicator on there. So you've got various different options there. And judging by the quality cassette, I think they're going to be pretty good. To be honest, it's going to work quite well. But now, floating around on social media is this crazy new 10-52 tooth cassette from Sunrace. So that's 10 to 52, that's a massive range. So bearing in mind that the SRAM system was 500% gear range, so this is even more. You could climb up the side of a house with this thing. Now it fits on the XD system, but with their own unique spacer system. So that slides over the regular basically XD driver body, and then this system slides onto the top of that and screws in place. Quite keen to see one in the flesh to see how this actually works out, but it looks quite tricky. If you look at the back of the cassette here on screen, it looks like quite a nice piece of design. And for that 52 tooth, like the 10-52 tooth cassette, it weighs 589 grams. Of course, that's not the lightest thing in the world, but that's an enormous range of gears. And it looks like we only seem to be going bigger, but how far is too far? What is the biggest you would run on your bikes? To be honest, I think 50 is the biggest I would ever want to go, and I didn't even want to go 12 speed when I first tried it, but now I'm completely sold on it. I like the fact I can use bigger chain rings up front. So a 34 with a 50 on the back is perfect for the local hills I ride. What about you guys? What is the system that you run? How far would you go? What size chain rings do you like running? Just get a little conversation going. It'd be nice to hear what you're running. Let us know in those comments underneath. Now we're in the off season, the racers are all doing their own thing, they're training, and a lot of them actually venturing onto motocross bikes and doing different stuff. But interesting to see that Danny Hart on his Instagram account seems to be spending a lot of time on the 29-inch wheel version of that Saracen Mist. Now of course Danny did race the 27.5 version over this season, but we know that he did have the 29. It was going to be up to him what he chose to race, and I'm guessing he just wants to spend more time on it to see if it's something that works for him. Now when he raced the Mondraker 29er previously, it was clear that he could ride the bike really well, but he just hadn't spent enough time on it to become completely happy with it in all racing situations. But definitely, by looking at these pictures, definitely looks like he's up to speed on a 29. It does make me wonder if he's going to be running that next year or not. I mean, it's definitely going to seem that most of the podium winners certainly, and most of the top 10, top 20 are going to be on 29s, I think, moving forwards. But it's also going to be interesting to see what people start doing with the mixed wheel sizing, which is going to be allowed with UCI. So are we going to see someone making the most of having that bigger front wheel up the front there, obviously, and then having a smaller 27.5 out back? definitely think you're going to see some interesting testing going on this season, so keep an eye out on Instagram for stuff like that. Next up is a new bike from Norco, the Canadian manufacturer based in North Vancouver. Now this is a VLT or Volt, so this is their new e-bike. Okay, so it's a 150mm platform, 160 fork up front, and it's running that Shimano Steps E8000 system on it. Now interestingly is the battery size on this. Now we've seen with that new Specialized release, they've gone up to a 700 watt-hour battery, which is absolutely enormous. Now Norco have also stepped it up, so the standard we've been seeing on most bikes is around 500 watt-hours, and they've gone for 640, so it's substantially bigger. Granted, not quite as big as that whopper they've got in the Specialized, but at the same time, this is a massive improvement on that 500, so you can have more ride time. It's a 4-hour charge time on there. It's a really nice looking frame. It doesn't look too big in the down tube like some of them can. It's got really good FSR style back end on there, 4-bar. Can be very active. And of course, riding for Norco bikes is Bryn Atkinson, who in my opinion is definitely one of the best looking riders out there to watch on a bike. His style is just insane, and have a look at him absolutely shredding the new Norco VLT or Volt. Like, just such a good rider on a bike, absolutely shredding this thing. And one of the things he actually points out on their website was it just makes the uphill just the same as the downhill. So of course e-bikes aren't for everyone, but it's definitely going to suit you if you're this sort of rider. Now last up in news this week is the Nukeproof Horizon Carbon handlebar. Now it's not actually that new. I've actually had a set of these on one of my bikes for quite some time, but to be honest, I'd actually forgotten about them because they're just seamlessly doing their job. Now, whether you pick alloy bars or carbon bars is completely up to you. There's different reasons for them. Personally, I think a lot of the carbon bars out there have a bit of sort of shock absorption to them. They've got quite a nice quality to them. They're not all like that. Some of them are intensely stiff and have the opposite effect. However, these particular bars, they definitely do have that, and they've got a whole bunch of features up their sleeve. So there's 3 rises. This is them on screen at the moment. So there's 10, 20 and 38mm. I always choose the 38, so I like them quite tall. And they're available in 780 and 800mm. Now, a couple of cool things about them is they've got this real cool knurled finish around the bar clamp, and also where your lock-on grips go onto them, so you don't have to be crazy over torquing them or even rely on stuff like assembly compounds to make sure that you don't make them slip in your bars, basically, so everything's going to be safe. You're not going to over tighten anything and risk scarring or cracking them. So they've got a 6-degree up sweep on them and a 9-degree back sweep. Of course, there's 3 different rise options on there. Nothing's going to slip when you put them onto the bike. And they've also got a maximum load of 700 kilograms, so they far exceed the industry standards for safety testing. And as a result of that, I think it's one of the only carbon bars out there that's got a lifetime warranty on them, no quibbles. So if you're unsure about carbon bars, maybe this is a set of bars for you to try out. And first up this week is from Benjamin in Brisbane, Australia. Hi Doddy, I don't have a lot of space or a shed, so my former dining room is where my bikes sleep. Where do you eat now? Well, I guess you don't need to eat in a dining room, it's more important to put bikes in there. I've got just about everything I need. My toolbox is almost overflowing, but it's organised. I've got additional storage in the cupboard, and for the messy jobs, I relocate to the back deck. And that's not something we can do in the UK. You get soaking wet if you do that. My faithful sidekick Bear, who's Bear? Ah, no way, you got a trail cat called Bear. Nice. Faithful sidekick Bear is never too far away and usually likes to sit and watch the bikes. As do I. Oh dude, gorgeous cat you got as well. Real nice to see. So on the shelf there, you got a fox helmet, you got a bell, I can't see what the other one is. Shop towels as well, nice, always good to see. Spare tyres down the bottom there. You've got some, it looks like reusable plastic bags. Nice pump. Nice size toolbox as well actually. That's 3 drawers, and I guess the top flips open like a proper cab style thing. Looking good. Nice decent sturdy work stand you got there. Bike's looking nice with the revelations up front on that. Yeah, sweet. Nice looking rig you got there, dude. Nice setup too. Cool. Alright, so next up is from Giles in Switzerland. Hi Doddy, loving the show. I've attached some photos of my bike cave, which is my bike workshop and a wood workshop at the same time. Love to spend hours tweaking my bikes and doing simple woodwork with my son. The greatest place to share some time with a kid, working on a bike and sharing my passion of biking with him. Yeah, and what a cool place you've got as well. Yeah, so you've got a dedicated woodworking bench there with a wood vise, but then you've got a metal working vise, which is obviously handy for bike stuff. Swiveling one as well by the looks of that. Swivel based vise, I always like one of those. Nice pegboard as well. I could see OSB being used nicely there, looks really good. And kind of goes well, I guess, with the woodworking theme. Plenty of stickers on there, a couple of disc rotors, a few unfamiliar tools actually. I don't know what that is, some sort of scythe type thing. Guess that's a woodwork specific tool. Not really familiar with that. Some hacksaws, rubber mallet. Nice selection of stuff you got going on there. Very clean for a woodworking sort of cave as well, I guess. And you've even got carpet tiles in there. It looks mega. You've got bike calendar on the wall. You've got your camelback and your race face pads up there. Commissar, hardtail. Dude, looking really good. And the giant down the back there as well. One step more, with a little bit more wood, and you'll have turned that little bike stand you made for the Giant into a manual machine. If you want to see that, tune into that video that Blake made over on GMBN. Quite cool. Doubles up as a stand, and you can enter manual on it if you can't already, of course. Looking good. A bit more close-up details there. Chain tool. Got some circlip pliers, scissors. I really like those sort of metallic magnet strips. You see them in kitchens a lot, don't you, with knives and stuff. It's a nice touch. In fact, I'm going to rob that idea. I like it. Oh, well, they Qeeo Allen keys. They look like a Qeeo set down the bottom there. They're a trick. I like the fact they're colour coded as well. Nice system to use. Got to say, we're liking that woodwork bench. Make a good all-round bench, I think. Now, it looks like some sort of old IKEA unit, maybe. Upright on the edge there. Loads of Shimano mineral oil, so you must like bleeding your brakes. Sweet. And then, what's that? It's what's the stand making? There's Feedback Sports or something, I think, isn't it? Yeah, nice. It's got a real nice clamp that you slap shut. They work well, those. Nice. Oh, into radio control cars as well. Fully loaded workspace in there. Nice work, Giles. Thank you for sending that one in. Next up, oh, look at this bad boy. So this is from Tommy in Lincolnshire, UK. Hi GMBN crew, this is my brick build. She's at the back of my garden. I've turned this into my own bike cave over the space of 3 years. I've got my BMC Speed Fox 03 and lots of tools and equipment. Hope you like my bike cave. I also have at the back there on the wall my 2013 Vitus Escarp one frame that's snapped. Wow, it's kind of cool to keep one as a bit of a trophy, isn't it? Got to tell the story to your mates down the pub. I'm sure the story sort of, the more beers you have, the better the story gets. But nice to see, decent roll cab at the back, loads of muck off, bike protect, all that stuff. Some 3-in-1 as well, I can see down there. Helmet hanging on the wall, in fact helmet hanging on your riding pack, hanging on the wall, on the pegboard there. I think you could do better than just hang that Vitus trophy frame. I reckon you could do something better with that. You need a little plinth and maybe little halogen spotlights on it. Something cool. Make the story that bit better. Looking good though. Nice, we've got a TV up the top there. More helmets up there. Must be some more stuff going on. Is that a heater? Nice. Looking good. And you've insulated it as well, I see, with some kind of foil bubble wrappy type stuff. Also, I've just spotted the little GMBN postcard there, so I'm guessing you've got like a GMBN t-shirt or maybe a hooded top or something tucked away. Thank you for the support, that's really cool. Ah, nice. Ah, and we're out the bike cave for this week. Keep them coming, guys, we absolutely love them. All right, now it's time for Rewind, which of course is the retro part of the weekly GMBN Tech show. Now, normally I love all the great entries we've had from you guys, and of course we have had some excellent ones, but this week I want to show you something a little bit special. But just before I do that, I just want to make sure that everyone knows how to use that uploader service. So it's a really simple service, and I know so many of you have already used it, but we are still getting the occasional email come in, and it's much easier and we can get the images better as well if you use the uploader. So the link is at the bottom of the screen there. You literally, here's what a page looks like when you click on that link, upload your pictures from your desktop, you give them a name, tell us where you're from, all that sort of stuff, and then we have all your information. So please, if you've got any retro stories or anything old like this that you want to show us, feel free to share it. We really want to see it for next week's show. But on this week's show, I'm going to show you something a little bit different. So recently, I've been watching what Dangerholm has been doing. Dangerholm, of course, is a crazy tech nutter. I think he won't mind me calling him that, in the best possible way. And he renovates bikes, and he's made some of the lightest bikes in existence, like mountain bikes, insane bikes. But this one on the screen now is something very, very special and very close to my heart, actually, as well. So this is his latest Scott bike creation. And look at the colourway. So that, basically, it's a replica, a modern replica, of an old Klein Attitude for 1990. Now this is the Klein on the screen. And then cut back, there we go, and here is the Scott. So let's take a look at this in some more detail and see what he's actually done. So starting off, he's got this regular Scott, perfectly nice bike. It looks quite stealthy actually, but not good enough for Dangerholm. So he has to go the whole hog and do absolutely everything on it. So the bike straight out was stripped down to the bare bones, and all of the paint was removed from that bike. But then it even went as far as taking the rear derailleur apart. Look at this, so the rear derailleur in parts, SRAM derailleur, again, stripped down, ready for repainting. And then he's got new chain, new cassette, new crank, basically new everything on there. But it's the paintwork that really it's really outstanding. It just stands out a mile off. So it's got that iconic luminous pink, white and green that the Klein Attitude was famous for. So the Klein, made by Gary Klein in 1990, at the time was the lightest mountain bike you could buy off the shelf. It weighed 20 pounds when it first came out. 26-inch wheel bike, made of aluminium, and it's got a few very cool features. So the bar and stem were known as Mission Control. They're one-piece bar and stem. Saved the weight on the clamps, looked very trick as well in that custom, like really crazy green colour. Now the head tube was quite oversized on these old Kleins. Now I actually forget what the size was. I think it was 1.25 inches, which might have been called Evolution back then, or it might have been a specific size for Klein, which actually sounds more like it. And they had their own design fork as part of that system. And they did this because they can make the whole front end of the bike a lot lighter than other manufacturers currently were. And then of course it was how fat the frame was. I mean, look at this thing, it's amazing for an old piece of mountain bike history really. And then the colourway, of course, it's very, very 90s. You can imagine riding this in crazy eyewear and looking a bit crazy. So here's a shot of Dangerholm himself with his modern creation. And I think you'll find he looks everything the part, as you should do for this sort of bike. But I really love the attention to detail this guy goes to. In fact, his Instagram handle is on the bottom of the screen right there. I urge you to go and have a look at his Instagram account. It's fascinating, the detail that he goes to in there. And he actually shows you on a few videos how he takes all the paint off, which 100% would void your warranty and is not something that anyone should do. But if you want to do it, that's how you do it. But just look at this thing, the tan wall, tyres on there, the carbon saddle, and in fact this shot here has actually got his whole fleet of bikes. So there's that super lightweight Spark in there, of course. Look at that thing, there's nothing to it. Ultra lightweight carbon saddles, I mean, state of the art, but everything he's done. And there we go, once more, that original scale frame with a completely stock build. And it looks absolutely great, but clearly not in the eyes of Dangerholm, which is, I think it's kind of like mountain biking's answer to the mad scientist. What an awesome dude. Can't wait to meet him, can't wait to go riding with him at some point. But for now, just enjoy some of these shots of his sort of modern retro take, using the Scott to replicate how sort of advanced and cool the Klein looked back in the day. And look at that derailleur, it looks so cool painted up. Love to see some more custom stuff like this. Man, that is some attention to detail and a real keen eye to want to do something like that. Awesome stuff, Dangerholm. Love what you're doing. And actually, this has given me an idea. I quite fancy the idea of this. A few years ago, I did a modern version of a GT Zaska when they did their 25th anniversary frame. And I quite fancy doing something like this again, maybe as a project bike on GMBN Tech. But looking back on the screen now, so I'm just going to throw it up again. Here's that Klein Attitude from 1990. Have a think and see what sort of retro bikes out there that you guys think are really cool. And maybe that might be something that we can make into a modern equivalent. What do you think would translate well these days? Let us know in those comments below. Anything we can make something modern but with that retro twist. I think there's got to be a really cool bike build project out there. Let us know in those comments. Now it's time for Top Mods, which of course is a section show where we get to see all those little refinements and customizations you've done to your own bikes. It could be anything, whatever you've done to make your bike your bike. The thing that separates it from your mates, the thing that separates it from the one that you can buy off the shelves in your local bike shop. Whatever it is, send it in. There's a link right there on the screen. Take some photos, tell us what you're doing. Maybe if you're going to do a project on your bike, take some photos of it. Get involved, it's really, really cool. So first up this week is from Luke in Cape Town, South Africa. In fact, one of my favourite places to visit, really cool down there. Biking's become somewhat of an obsession for me. Not sure if it's an unhealthy one, but it's certainly helped me get through some tough times in my life. I'm especially fond of the maintenance part and thought I'd build a bike from scratch. It took a few months to source the parts. It's quite difficult down here in South Africa. So I convinced my wife to bring a fully disassembled bike build in her luggage from Austria. Wow, okay, that's dedication, cool. So what you can see is her having no idea what she was packing. Long story short, it all arrived in one piece And without watching a single tutorial video, I winged putting the whole thing together. And yes, I broke my press fit bottom bracket by doing so. Wow, that's no bad thing, is it? It's really cool to like learn this stuff on the fly. You'll never break another one, will you? So here you have it, a full build 2017 Chromoly Commissar Meta HT, decked out in purple, and she is a fine machine. Thanks for the show and the inspiration. Literally keeps me going. Oh, dude, this is so cool to see. I'm loving these pictures of the bike being put into the packaging. So there you go. There's the frame on the floor, the Manitou forks, 100% gloves in purple, a stem, pedals, chainring, and grips all in purple, looking good. There's the bars there with the stem and grips mounted on, coming together nicely. Okay, so you've obviously sorted the press fit bottom bracket at this point. Looking pretty cool, actually. Nice work, dude. Yeah, and you've got a dropper post in there. I'm guessing that's internally routed. Yeah, I can see the cable down the bottom there. Looking very clean and tidy, I have to say. Must have spent a nice bit of time putting this together. And there's the wheels. Wow, purple hubs as well. Minion DHF tyres. So you've got 27.5s on there. They're big 2.5 wide trails. Popular tyres, though. It's really good. Yeah, oh, there she is. Dude, it is looking awesome. Nice story, and that's some dedication. I'll tell you what, Luke, to get your other half to travel halfway across the world and buy a bike, put it in pieces in a suitcase and bring it back for you. That's amazing. Good work. Okay, next up is from Logan in Idaho. I picked this bike up a couple of months ago and started to update it a little. I swapped the bars and grips out to Spank Spoon 785s, nice, and the Doddy Waypoint grips. I upgraded the seat post to a KS E10 dropper post, and I've changed the stock Specialized Enduro tyres to 26 2.3 Maxxis DHR2s. Great tyre that. In fact, even though it's a rear tyre, they're really good on the front as well, especially if you ride steep terrain. They're so good for braking, so where they cut in, they're sort of angled centre knobs, really good tyre. The pedals are race face Chesters. That's cool. They're like the polycarbonate plastic ones, aren't they? They're becoming quite fashionable, I think. I've seen quite a lot of people run those. With a 34 tooth NW chainring. It's only a 9-speed, but I'm planning on upgrading to Shimano SLX 11-speed cassette and derailleur before next season. Looking awesome. Are they aftermarket brake lever blades as well? They don't look stock to me. They look quite trick on your Hayes ones on there. Yeah, grips looking good. There's those bars, tyres, dropper post as well. Plenty of upgrades on there. I'll tell you what, I can foresee the future. Your next upgrade, I think, should be to remove that rubber you've got on the chainstay and do something neater, because the rest of your bike is really clean and tidy, and I reckon you could make a really neat chainstay protector that do the same job but just look that little bit nicer. You could always colour coordinate it as well, but looking good. Yeah, and a 9-speed, that doesn't matter. Just wait until it wears out and then upgrade then. There's no point in spending money on stuff that's going to do a perfectly good job. I always think it's best to upgrade the things that need to be upgraded. Nice, thanks for sending that one in. Next up is from Christian in Macedonia. This is my custom bike. It's a Bergamot Revox. I've not even seen one of these. I've seen many Bergamot bikes, but not a Revox before. So it's a cross-country bike. It looks quite aggressive, though. It looks more like a trail bike to me, but perhaps with more cross-country style angles on there. So now I can do cross-country races and I can ride trails. First, I've replaced the original Schwalbe Smart Sand 2.1 tyres with Rocket Ron on the back and a knobby nick on the front. That's a good combo, so nice and fast rolling on the back and a bit more control up front. That's the sort of style combination I like to run actually on my own bikes. Schwalbe knobby nick on the front, yeah, so converted it to 1x10 with a 32 tooth chainring and 1142 cassette. Brilliant, so you're geared up to climb up anything with that. No excuses for not making it up to the top of a climb. I've also installed some Shimano XT M8000 brakes and 180mm rotors. Yeah, really good, super easy to bleed as well, and of course changing pads when you wear them out. And I swapped the original 700mm wide bars with 780 carbon bars and extended the traveller fork from 100 to 120. I work as a bike mechanic in my local shop, by the way. I made my own frame protector from Innertube and replaced the outer cables with new red ones to match the red details. At last, I'm done with some custom graphics on the frame, permanent marker pen, and sprayed it with transparent matte protector on top. That's quite cool, so you've got a totally bespoke look to your bike. That's good work. I've not seen someone do that before. I'm liking the colour coordinated cables and bottle cage and crank protecting caps on the end there too. That's a nice touch. All round looking pretty smart. Nice work. Guys, continue to send your top mods in, but maybe just throwing it out there, let's have some video entries. Let's hear a bit about you guys, where you're from, what you're into riding, and show us why and what you've done to your bikes. Absolutely love to have some video entries on next week's show. So you know what to do, get them done. And tech of the week this week, a little bit different actually. Been surfing around on YouTube, seeing what's going on, and Hans Rey, clearly one of my favourite riders of all time, quite inspired by the guy. He's got his own series of videos where he's releasing loads of cool archive footage. Now this one is all about his bike cave. So this is a real cool little tech guide to all the cool stuff he's got tucked away in there. And I've been lucky enough in the past to have a rummage around in his garage, and it's insane. It's a double garage, absolutely loaded with frames, forks, old prototype tyres that you've never even seen before. You've got to have a look at this video, it's so cool. And in fact, while you're at it, check out the rest of his videos, but this one in particular is so cool for all the tech heads out there because there's so much good stuff in there. Also, just on screen at the moment, a few shots when I was lucky enough to have a little rummage around there at some of the good old stuff. So here's a couple of his old retro bikes, there's his helmet, there's a classic blue Zaskar there with that rock ring on there. And of course, this red bike with the yellow spin wheels on it, that's the carbon 3-spoke wheels. That's the one that he used on Pacific Blue. Now, Pacific Blue was a TV show, much like a Baywatch type thing, and he actually used to appear on it as himself. That's how big time he used to be back then in the 90s. But yeah, make sure you watch it. It's really, really cool. And finally, if you're looking to snap up a bargain, we've actually got 50% off sale on the GMBN store right now. So if you want to represent some of our t-shirts or riding gear, mugs, all of that cool stuff, 50% off, and it's not for long, so make sure you get involved. I'm just going to throw a little link up to it on the screen there so you can click on that if you want. And for a couple of videos, click down here for the Crunk Brothers Stamp 7 Danny McCaskill edition. We're giving away 4 pairs of those, so make sure you watch that video. And click up here for getting your bike ready for winter wet weather riding. As always, don't forget to subscribe to GMBN Tech if you don't already, and of course give us a thumbs up if you like GMBN Tech.